As you spoke today, Mr. Yang, you're talking to an audience, Southern, mostly African American. You have distinguished yourself in the campaign as being the opposite of Donald Trump. Yeah. What, though, is your specific appeal to Southern and African American voters nationally, in your opinion?
Well, the centerpiece of my campaign is a freedom dividend of $1,000 a month, which would be transformative for many people here in the South and would go a longer way in communities that have lower access to capital and to job opportunities, which unfortunately overlaps with many black communities, both here in South Carolina and around the country. And the freedom dividend is something that Martin Luther King was fighting for in 1967 and 1968. And when he fought for it, he said, look, this shouldn't be for any particular subset of Americans because poor blacks and poor whites have common cause to make. And so I'm happy to say that the freedom dividend is attracting support from different communities, but certainly here in South Carolina, I think it's the reason why I'm increasing in popularity here.
Now, you've said you would sign H.R. 40 if you was president, but you're saying this $1,000 is a way for an incentive to do what? What is the reasoning? Is it because of the historic disproportionate economic needs of people that have been impoverished? Or is it for, you hope to, in many ways, encourage them to do entrepreneurship? I mean, be specific of what you envision this $1,000 would do.
Well, here in South Carolina, if you can imagine every adult receiving $1,000 a month, it would grow the consumer economy of this state by about 14%. It would create tens of thousands of jobs right here in the communities, because what would people spend the money on? They'd spend it on tutoring for their kids and car repairs they've been putting off and the occasional night out. And so each of those businesses ends up hiring more people right here in the local community, and that creates job growth. Job growth follows the money.
It's basically for them to use it for their consumer items and other things, which would support business.
Or, as you suggest, entrepreneurship, because how many Americans would take a shot at starting a business if they were getting $1,000 a month and they knew that they weren't going to, frankly, starve to death if the business didn't work out? So we'd see a massive catalyst for entrepreneurship and arts and creativity and caregiving and coaching and nurturing, like all the things that, frankly, people want to do intrinsically, but feel like they don't have the means to support.
Where would this money come from? How would you get this? Where would you be able to give people $12,000 a year? From where? Well, in the federal?
If you look up Amazon, our trillion-dollar tech company, is paying zero in taxes, while it's leading to the closing of 30% of American malls and Main Street stores. So if you have a mechanism where we get even a tiny sliver of every Amazon transaction, every Google search, every Facebook ad, every robot truck mile, you can generate hundreds of billions in new revenue, which, combined with the increase in consumer buying power, which would grow the economy, direct savings on things like incarceration, homelessness services, emergency room health care, and the value gains from having a healthier, better educated, mentally healthier, more productive population is enough to pay for a dividend of $1,000 a month.
Where are you in terms of criminal justice reform? President Trump came in, privatized prisons, canceled consent decrees in many cities that had a pattern of police brutality. What's the Yang proposal in terms of criminal justice?
I'm certainly in direct opposition to President Trump on those levels. I think we should get rid of all private prisons. It makes no sense to have prisons that have a profit motivation that actually benefit if recidivism is high, and they profit more from the shoddy treatment of inmates. So we need to get rid of private prisons. We need to get rid of this cash bail system. We're throwing people into jail for essentially being poor, and we need to work on investing in community policing initiatives to try and build up some sort of genuine trust. I know it's a very tall order, and it might be hard to achieve in some areas, but we need to try and rebuild some form of relationship between law enforcement and the communities they're meant to serve.
The debates are less than a week away. How do you think you distinguish yourself from the other candidates without appearing to be divisive?
Well, the great thing is that most Americans are still just finding out about me in the campaign. It would be kind of a lousy use of airtime if I were to spend my limited airtime like throwing rocks at other candidates. So I'm just going to be spending my time introducing myself, my ideas for a trickle-up economy from people and families and communities up. And I believe our popularity is going to grow and grow just on the basis of the strength of our vision for the country.
So you're not going to throw mud at other candidates. You're going to really build up on your own recognition and the policies you represent. That's your debate plan.
That's very much the plan. Most Americans are just tuning in, and most Americans are finding out about me.
What do you think quickly about the president's ICE plan in terms of what he's doing, what he's announced?
You know, I think it's terrible on so many levels, and it strikes me as more of like an inflammatory distraction than a real policy. If there are over 12 million undocumented immigrants in this country, it is impossible to even imagine what trying to deport over 12 million people would look like in practice. And so why are you even pretending that that's a possibility? It's to inflame your base. It's to distract from other things that are happening. So I would certainly reverse this set of policies that really does not solve any kind of problem. It's inhumane. It separates families in a way that's unconscionable in many instances.
All right. Thank you, Andrew Yang.
It's so great to see you again.
Great to see you again.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.